James Archibald. You're a producer of wide experience, and you produced No Turning Back, which is to be premiered in Bristol next week. Now, what brings you to Bristol?
Well, I've always liked Bristol. I think that Bristol, for me, is sort of hobbit land, because the general relationship of the press and the media, they talk about the Midlands, the North and the South East and the Southern thing, and Bristol gets left out. And therefore, when I want to do something which is out of the ordinary, I come to Bristol, because people don't seem to realise that Bristol exists, and I like it very much indeed.
Now, your film is about a Bristol family, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell me a little about it?
Well, it's about a family. The father works as a senior engineer in the Concorde team, and he has a wife and 2 children who are, one's at Bristol University and the other one's just leaving Henbury Comprehensive, taking her A-levels at 17 3/4. And it's really about the inability of this family to communicate one with the other, and the problems that arise out of that. I think a problem which is fairly worldwide, isn't only in Bristol.
Has all the filming been done in Bristol?
No, we went to France with Aerospatiale, who cooperated with us for a sequence on the French side of the Concorde.
And you're using people, workers in Bristol in the film?
Well, absolutely, yes. I mean, anybody on the Concorde operation, they play their own parts. Like Trubshaw, he plays his part, and everybody, and all the French people play their parts. And this was the interesting thing of the film, was to mix mainly professional actors and actresses with people who are doing the job.
This must have created a few problems for you, I imagine.
Not really, once they understood that we were all enthusiastic. That's the most important thing.
Now, Monica Gray, can I come to you now? We're used to seeing you on HTV here in the Bristol area. Now, you're playing the mother, in the film.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little about your part?
Yes. Well, she was originally very much in love with her husband. She still is. But through the years, bringing up the family, looking after the children, she has become very much sort of away from her husband, who's always busy on the Concorde. He's totally absorbed in his work, and he doesn't notice that she exists as a person. For him, you know, she remains Jane, who he married, mother to his children, but as a person in her own right. For him, she has absolutely no meaning. Therefore, the whole of her life has become, well, you know, sort of typical mother who's lost all interest in anything else outside her family. And this is, well, in fact, it's her son who says to her, look, you know, really you're wasting, we're growing up. You're really wasting your time, you're not happy. In fact, he says to her, Father never takes any notice of you. I don't think he's said one nice thing in the last year to you. And this is a shock to her. She hasn't realized it herself. And she says, well, this is, you know, women of that type cover up. They won't admit that there's anything wrong. And they say one thing when they really mean another. Her reply to that is, rubbish, darling, bring your socks or dirty washing back from the university when you come to lunch on Sunday. But it makes her think. And she starts looking at her family with totally new eyes, looking at her husband and realizing how very much away from the family he is mentally. And she decides to get a job. And she, in point of fact, gets a job teaching French, because she'd originally been a French teacher before she married him. This, in turn, jerks the husband into a certain realization of what is happening within his family, that his daughter is growing up and beyond him and is meeting people. He doesn't know where she's going, doesn't know what she's doing. You know, she's grown up. In fact, she has gone off with a boy who is on drugs. She doesn't know this at the time. She's very much in love with him. And in the end, she turns to her mother to talk to her about this, having tried to talk to the father, hiding the fact that you know, she pretends it's another girl who has a boyfriend who's on drugs. And the father says, oh, well, I mean, I tell her just to leave him alone. You know, you don't want to have anything to do with this at all. And so therefore, you see the conflict, you know, of a young girl growing up without having had the benefit of you know, in a real relationship with her mother and father. And this sort of thing, which you also see with the sun, is so, it happens in so many homes. While we were filming this, it was all so instantly recognizable to us when we were doing it that we found it fascinating. We fell so easily, it didn't feel like acting at all. One recognized, because of friends, other people that have this sort of situation, that we were acting a reality. It was completely real. I found it fascinating to do. And also working with people, I mean, as James was saying, there were a few people who weren't actors, who were playing themselves. And, they also, we found it very easy to work with them.
Sounds intriguing.
Yes, it was
very much of our
It's
time, and
lovely.
with a lot of local interest too.
Yes, it was great
I wish
fun.
you lots of luck with it. Monica Gray, James Archibald, thank you very much indeed.